Alexee Trevizo had a major win in court. So does this mean that she's gonna get away with it? We're gonna talk about it in today's video. Hello Sofa Squad and welcome back to the sofa. My name is Paul and today we're going to be revisiting a case that's been kind of lurking there in the background, but that happened a minute ago and there has been a couple of updates in it, and that's the case of Alexee Trevizo. Now the way we'll be revisiting these updates is first we're going to go over like the very quick overview of what is this case about, how do we arrive here. We will be looking at a few video clips after I go over a summary of it to kind of put you on the same page if you're unfamiliar with this as to the actions that took place that arrived here. And then after that we'll be reviewing a couple of articles that I found on the internet that go over these updates, and that's it. So let's go ahead and talk about who is Alexee Trevizo, how have we arrived at this video today. Okay, so Alexee Trevizo, she's been charged with first-degree M charges. This is in relation to the death of her baby that was born in the hospital. Now this was not an ordinary birth or situation. So the early morning of January 27th, 2023, Alexee arrives to the hospital. Now, this is the thing. A bunch of actions would unfold once she arrived that is at the center of the lawsuit and the charges. Now, she went in there complaining about severe back pain, but it was not back pain. So they start running tests. They're trying to figure out what's wrong with her, obviously. And lo and behold, they find out she's pregnant. Now, here's the tricky thing though. Obviously she did not go in there saying she was pregnant. Now she goes to the bathroom during all of this, but allegedly she does not know the results of the test. And remember, she's kind of playing off like she didn't know she was pregnant, okay? So she goes to the bathroom and she's in there for a minute, right? I think it's like 20 minutes they clocked her at. Now this is like in the wee hours of the morning, okay? So she's in there and literally to the point where the nurses or whoever is like, you know, we're coming in there, what's going on? And only then does she come out. And in a minute we're gonna look at some of the clips of her going and whatnot. So they get her out, they take her back to the room. Well, they bring in like one of the cleaning people or whatever because the room's like bloody and it's bad off, right? So she cleans the room up. Well, then she's ready to go and she grabs that trash can or like a trash bag there and she's like, why is this so heavy? Well, when she picks it up, she realizes like, wait, what is this? And wrapped up in another plastic bag underneath the trash bag is what looks like a baby. Well, you already know. She's like calling her, hello, we need help in here. I think there's a baby in the garbage. Now during this, Trevizo will insist that the baby was stillborn. You know, she didn't know this, that, and the other. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. So they bring cops in, like they call the police, right? Because the baby's dead, obviously, right? So they call the police in, and then what is said and when it's said is at the center of the lawsuits, at the center of the charges, and also at the center of her victory in court. Now she has been out on pretrial release, okay? So she's been doing normal, you know, AKA, you know, air quotes, normal teenage stuff, prom, things of this nature. Yes, it's a little bit yikes, you know, so, but she's been doing that while she's fighting her case. Now, that is like the 10-cent version to this, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at a few of the video clips from that tragic evening and listen to a news clip and that type thing just to kind of get a little bit more of the energy of what was going on. So let's put that first clip up.
This is 19-year-old Alexee Trevizo. She had no prior criminal history before this. Investigators say she gave birth to the child back in January, but she was just charged yesterday. Now, investigators say in late January, Trevizo entered Artesia General Hospital complaining of lower back pains. That's when nurses discovered she was pregnant. Trevizo then locked herself in a hospital bathroom for a long period of time, where nurses found her inside with the bathroom covered in blood, according to investigators. They also say nurses tended to Trevizo when housekeepers came in to clean up the bathroom. That's when they discovered a heavy trash bag buried underneath other trash, and inside a baby boy not breathing. Trevizo's lawyer is blaming the hospital.
Now we'll talk about the lawsuit that the lawyer has filed and the wrongful death thing in a minute. Okay, you'll need to buckle up for that. You saw her running and holding her backside. You saw her coming out. So when she's coming out, she's just giving birth and stuffed a baby in the garbage, okay? And doesn't plan on saying anything. I guess she thought she was going to get away with it. Let's watch the next clip.
She put the baby in the trash can, and then she put another clean liner over the top of it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So when they looked in there, there was no trash in there, but it was underneath the clean bag. The baby's dead. Okay, we have him in trauma too, but she killed the kid.
Yeah. How old was the baby?
I don't know, it's full term. She just had it, she had it in the bathroom was what happened.
You see the cop that kind of looks, he's doing like when they're like, the baby's dead, he's like, and the guy goes, she killed the kid. This is all going to get very, very tricky in court, okay? This is a very, honestly, it's obviously sad, but baffling legal case to me. Okay, now let's watch a clip of the moment where the doctor is telling Alexee and her mother what happened, okay? Again, this is at the center of all the stuff going on, so let's roll that clip.
I'm sorry, sir. We discovered a dead baby in the bathroom.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. He came out at me and I didn't know what to do. Lexi, I told you about this. I just asked you, baby, to tell me the truth.
It was not crying or nothing.
What did you do to it?
Okay, stop right here. Stop. Number one priority, guys. Number one priority is she just had a baby. I don't know if she's delivered the placenta. She's bleeding significantly.
Yeah.
I've spoken to the obstetrician at Loveless. They want her out there as soon as possible.
Okay.
I obviously need your permission to transfer her for medicals. She needs to
She's
be
19.
Oh, you're right.
But she is a student too.
She's
No,
still
but
19
you're
years old.
right. You're right. She needs to. I'm sorry, I forgot she's 19.
Keep out of me.
But you need to make sure that you're safe. I need to send you to Loveless to labor and delivery.
It gives me so much anxiety and stress watching that. And I mean, I've done videos on this case before when it was current and whatnot, and it's still just, it gives me goosebumps. The doctor coming in, we found a baby, a deceased baby in the garbage, and it came out of me. I didn't know what to do. And the mother instantly, I told you about this. I just asked you about this. Now, again, I'm not going to go into a deep dive in this video about the past stuff. I do have past videos to watch if you want to watch me specifically talk about it. About the whole thing of did she know? Did the mom know? The whole 9 yards. It was a major thing, right? And again, it still is, because now that we're going to get in these updates, you'll see what I'm talking about. So first and foremost, let's put up an article on the screen and let's talk about the lawsuit. Buckle your seatbelts that their lawyer has filed against the hospital. Let's go. Okay, so you see up here on the screen, it says Alexee Trevizo's lawyer sues hospital for wrongful death of the baby. Gary Mitchell said the hospital's negligence and the medication used are ultimately to blame. Okay, now you might be asking, how in the world have we arrived here? Well, let's get a little deeper. So the next page, Artesia, New Mexico. Artesia General Hospital is being sued for wrongful death of infant Alex Fierro, the baby of Alexee Trevizo, back in January. Trevizo went to the hospital for back pain. Later on, hospital staff found out she was pregnant and that she gave birth in the bathroom. The baby was found in the trash can, deceased. Attorney Gary Mitchell told us experts concluded the hospital is ultimately at fault for the death because of negligence and medication that was used. So when she came in there talking about this, talking about that, they gave her some kind of medication. Now, again, this is a whole contingency thing of, you know, it is what it is, okay? There's a procedural issue going on here that is going to be at the heart of this that could possibly win them the case and whatnot. Remember, she's claiming, I didn't know I was pregnant. I had no idea. So she goes in, I have back pain, they give her something. They don't tell her that she's pregnant, that they get the results. She goes to the bathroom and gives birth. She freaks out. She doesn't know what to do. The baby is stillborn. She wraps said baby up and throws the baby away and comes out like nothing happened. However, we will get a little bit of some discrepancies with that. So again, to me, this is like a legal move. Obviously, if they're trying to say that she's not at fault, she didn't do this only helps further their case to take it one step further to be like, well, we're suing for wrongful death. You know, look at what you did. You gave her these drugs. You gave the baby or her these drugs, which killed the baby. She didn't know she was pregnant. You didn't tell her that. You let her go. Okay, that's what's going on here. Let's get deeper into the article now about her case and what's happened with it. Now we're going to read two different things here about this just because they go into a little bit of further detail, one versus the other. So we're just going to do both articles. Okay, so this first article up here, you'll see it's by Chris Spargo. It says prosecutors charge Alexee Trevizo with first-degree M and tampering with evidence last year, claiming that the then teenager gave birth to a baby boy in the bathroom of a hospital during a visit to the ER and put the baby inside a trash can. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to jump down to the third paragraph. The first couple just talk about things that we've already gone over so far. Now, You'll see here it says a trial date of August 26 had been set in that case, but a case information sheet obtained by Inside Edition Digital shows that the trial date and August 6 pretrial hearing have both been canceled and the case vacated at this time. The decision by prosecutors to not move forward with the case at this time comes after the judge ruled that all comments allegedly made by Trevizo in the presence of the hospital staff, as well as all video footage of her taken inside the medical facility, would not be admissible during her trial, and a pair of court orders filed May 13th and June 3rd. This is big, okay? Let's go to the next thing. Now, it just says here, the top paragraph, the prosecutors have, since filed an appeal with the New Mexico Supreme Court. They're objecting, obviously, about that footage, and her exiting the bathroom where the baby was born is inadmissible, as well as her alleged confession to her doctor that she gave birth to the baby. Now, let's move down to the secondary headline here. It says, prosecutors appeal Alexee Trevizo confession ruling. And it says the deputy DA, Ariana Gonzalez, who is representing the state of New Mexico in the case, writes in the appeal that HIPAA laws did not apply to the initial conversation Trevizo had with her doctor in which she allegedly confessed to giving birth to the baby. According to the appeal, Dr. Heather Vasquez said to Trevizo, "We discovered a dead baby in the bathroom." Trevizo then allegedly said, "I'm sorry, it came out of me. I didn't know what to do," according to the appeal. We saw the video we just saw. The state argues in the appeal that Trevizo was not under arrest or restraint when she made that admission, and that the exchange between Trevizo and the physician did not rise to the level of police interrogation. Trevizo also waived any privilege when she made statements in the presence of her mother and law enforcement agents, argues the state. And objecting to the judge's decision to toss out the video of Trevizo as she enters and exits the bathroom, we saw that too, both before and after giving birth, the state argues that the video of the hallway was a public place accessible in the hospital to others without any patient-physician privilege. It says the Supreme Court has not yet set a date for the hearing for this appeal, but oral arguments are typically heard during the first 2 weeks of the month in January, March, May, July, September, November. So I would imagine in September, we'll be hearing something. Now let's move on to that second article here. You'll see on the screen it says New Mexico teen who dumped newborn in a hospital trash can lands win in court. And this first thing here, the first paragraph just says the state's Supreme Court postponed Alexee's August 6 pretrial hearing while it decides whether certain evidence, including her own statements in the hospital, can be used. And then it just goes into the second thing we've gone over this information. And let's read this third one here. It says doctors informed the teen she was pregnant after she went to the emergency room for back pain. While at the hospital, she allegedly locked herself in the bathroom and gave birth to a boy, tied him up in a bag, hid him beneath other items in the bin. He was later found dead. Now, what we know, let's read this. The district court ruled in favor of the defense. They excluded all the statements that we just went over, citing the doctor-patient privilege. She made these statements in front of her doctor and mother. Gary C. Mitchell, Trevizo's attorney, argued that her mother nor police officers should not have been in the room, especially with a body cam. He said everything his client did when she crossed the threshold of the hospital should be privileged because she was seeking medical care. They violated the doctor-patient privilege and they violated Miranda rights, trying to talk to somebody without telling them about their constitutional rights, Mitchell said in the interview. Mitchell also stated this case is huge because it affects both women's rights and reproductive issues. He said these conversations should have been protected. There's also a civil lawsuit against the hospital for malpractice. Now, it also just says here towards the end, on the other hand, Diane Lucy, the district attorney, appealed the ruling and argued that the teen waived her privilege by making statements repeatedly knowing her mother and officers were present. They've reached out, but there's no comment. The state's going to have certain evidence that they can introduce. All the video film and all the stuff that should have been confidential and all the testing, Mitchell said. Can they make a case otherwise? I don't think they can, but that doesn't mean they're not going to try. Okay, so, and that's it right there. So, let's talk about just opinions and whatnot. Before we get into that, if you follow me, then you already know this, but if you don't, well, now you're about to know, okay? I ain't a doctor, I ain't a lawyer, I ain't a cop, I ain't an investigator. I'm none of that fancy stuff, and I don't try to be, okay? I'm just a guy with a sofa and some opinions on true crime that we all sit here and watch based on public information. So, just take that for what it is. This is non-professional. Okay, so here's my thing. This is a rock and a hard place, okay? Because, I mean, if you want my personal opinion on it, without going, and I mean, granted, she hasn't had her day in court. Oh, I 100% think she knew she was pregnant. I think she had an overbearing mother. I think she was scared to death to say anything, and she took it at the very last second and gave birth in the hospital and thought she was just going to go on her merry way, and that nobody was going to see. I think she probably kind of lived her life like that, right? If you follow this case, you'll know there's lots of other, interviews and stuff and body cam footage with the mothers. You kind of see the relationship play out and probably how it would be with them. And, there's that. That being said, the footage that we saw there, If they don't have it, let's just talk about this level. If they extract that, what can they bring forth, right? That her statements of, I did this and I did that. I mean, at the end of the day, she goes to the hospital, has a baby, and the baby ends up dead in the bathroom. I mean, what of that can you exclude from the trial, right? Even if they sit here and say, we can't show the video of the bathroom, we can't talk about where the baby was found. All we can talk about is she entered the hospital and left. Now, if it's like we can't even talk about what happened in there, they're going to run into an issue. Right? They're going to run into an issue because Alexee's saying, I didn't know I was pregnant. They gave me this medication. I was stillborn. You know, but if she doesn't have to say any of that, it could make the case fall apart. Now, again, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. Okay. And again, there's a difference between what legally do we think could happen and morally, right? I mean, I personally think she killed the baby. Okay. I just do. Well, let me rephrase that. I think she obviously gave birth to the baby and tried to conceal the baby in the bag and the thing. It makes me curious if the baby was alive or not, but also in autopsies and stuff like that, one side is saying the baby was alive. The baby had air in its lungs. This is very, very similar to a case, and now I cannot think of her name. You already know what I'm talking about. The blonde-haired girl, the cheerleader, who gave birth at home overnight, buried the baby, and she tried to do the same thing, but the state attorneys kind of messed up, and she was able to walk based on like them doing stuff, whatever. I don't remember the details right now. This video is not about that. But very similar situations here. If the Supreme Court rules in her favor, I could see them majorly downgrading the charges and going to her with like, look, we can charge you for blank. Skylar Richardson, I think was her name. Now it hit me. Almost like they did with her, where the jury found her guilty of tampering with a corpse because that was obvious what she did. But the rest of it, they were like, we can't. I could almost see this going in that same way, where they're like, we can't prove that she killed the baby. We can prove that she disposed. I mean, at the end of the day, how'd your baby get in the garbage can, right? It would not surprise me to see this go this way. So that's kind of, I'm on the fence with it. That's kind of where I think it went. I'm on the fence with the way it legally could go. I'm not on the fence with my personal thoughts about the situation. I mean, everything that I saw, she was concealing the pregnancy. Her cheerleader pictures, anyway, she was on the cheerleading team too. I don't know what it is about this, but it's just, no. No, I 100% think she knew she was pregnant. Now, does she care for the baby and do things to maybe try and lose that pregnancy? That's to be told. Proving the stillborn, we're going to have to see all the evidence that comes up. And again, if they get rid of all this evidence and all that, the footage and the body cam and stuff like that, I just think that they're going to downgrade the charges and that she's going to somewhat walk on it. So we will see. Dying to know what you think. Dying to know your opinion. So drop in the comments. Let me know. I do appreciate it if you are still watching. And if you are still watching, drop some little sofas off there so I can sit down there to hang out with y'all and Rosco in spirit. Talk about this case and all the other ones we talk about here at the Sofa Squad. And until we meander our way down there to do that, I'll see y'all soon. I just wanted to say thank you again for watching the whole video, and also thank you for being part of the Sofa Squad. Special thanks to all the Patreon members, channel members from both of my channels, everybody who likes, shares, subscribes, comments in the comment sections. It helps the channel out so much. Now, don't forget, I do have that other channel, the podcast channel. That's where we go live, we hang out, we talk. We have kind of sort of a schedule, but just be sure and check it out. I'll put it up here on the screen. Also, if you're looking for merch, be sure to check out my Teespring store. I'll put that up here. And then, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to follow me and Rosco on the Instagram, go on, check it out. It's right here on the screen again. But once again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being part of the Sofa Squad, and I'll see you in the next video.